Yeah, okay, hello YouTube. I don't care about you guys. Yeah, we're just going to be tier listing the boss patterns, and I'm going to talk about the boss patterns in this square. And we're going to tier list them by run, killer, tough, average, easy, free. The tier list maker will be in the description, blah blah blah. And we're going to talk about the difficulty model, talk about the patterns of the attacks, which ones are the hardest, which ones are the easiest, which ones are free. Yeah. Sarah's opener is it's free, it's pretty free. It can very occasionally mean you. Like she can kind of set you up with a micro and shoot a really fast red stream down it. But it's that's very rare. It's pretty free. This goes in easy, mainly because of the attack that's in the actual screenshot here. It can give you random stuff, it can look ugly sometimes. Nobody cares about Sarah. This is free because it dies before it does anything. Louise opener, it can be kind of tight, but it's still easy. This is pretty easy, it's just basic dodging. This is, I could actually put this in tough. It's like between average and tough. It is technically, like you can learn it. Is the thing. I'm gonna change the song. You can have sure, we can have that. But you can kind of learn it, but sometimes it's gonna be annoying. Especially if like she's low on the screen, she does that and you're trying to save and Yuka to get damage. Weimu probably has an easier time with this than other shot types, because her homing means you can stay on the side. So you don't have to get like the super tight arrowhead dodges. But it's definitely the hardest thing so far. This is free because it dies before it does anything. Alice opener is a run killer. It's like the archetypical run killer, really. Is this ordered? No. If I ordered it, it would be this. No, you don't go up there. It'll be this. And this. Yeah. Alright, I'll order it from now on. Yeah, this is like the archetypical run killer because it's a bunch of mini pellets and there's a bunch of bullets, and she just shoots them out randomly. They can come in clumps. The pellets can be really hard to see because they're like super small. And they can just kill you. And she can do it multiple times over. When she does this, at the same time the fairies are shooting the waves of free bullets at you, it gets so stupidly dense with how many small pellets there are. And it's like, you're gonna die realistically unless she's really nice with the burst. It's like, you could argue this is down to tough because it's so early in the game, but I'm gonna put it in run killer. It's the archetypical run killer, really. This is free because it's all aimed. This is also kind of all aimed and also all aimed around you. Phase 2. So this is not including the lasers. So this is pretty free too. I guess maybe the fairies can be annoying. Phase 3 introduces lasers, which you can just tap once to the left every time she shoots to get around. Maybe the fairies can be annoying. Actually, I'm gonna move both of these down to 3. You shouldn't die to these. But they are like, they're above these. And phase 3 is harder. But if you're arguing that it's a slot machine thing, then this would be tough too. And it's like, that's the run killer of the game, pretty much. But you shouldn't die to Yumeka 2 or Alice 2 or Alice 3. You should die to Yumeka 2. You shouldn't die to Yumeka 3. But, everything she does is just aimed at you or around you. If you die, it's probably because the fairies are messing you up, but these are free. This is tough because the spirals. The spirals can be pretty tight, especially if you're a slow shot type. And if you're a fast shot type, again, the fairies can shoot bullets, and the bullets can block off the spiral path, and you can just run into a bullet, and you just get screwed. It can kind of slot machine you sometimes like that. But yeah, it can slot machine you. It's like the first spiral as a fast shot is usually fine. It's the second, if she does the spiral as her second attack, and when the fairy's bullets are getting mixed in, the pellets can be in the middle of the spiral, and there's like pretty much nothing you can do at that point. Other than go for whichever spiral seems to have the least pellets in them. But yeah, that's definitely a tough attack. Only because of the spirals, though. If she doesn't do the spirals as her second attack, which if you're spinning this aimed phase, and this is technically harder than this because you actually have to dodge it. But if you spin Alice during these aimed phases, then this should only get like 2, maybe 3 attacks off. There's only really the second, maybe third one that can kill you, but it's still going to be tough for the aforementioned reasons. This is easy, because the arrowheads are static and very easy to read, and pellets are aimed. It's free, actually. It's free. Alice's run killer tough, free. Yuki, my phase 1, I'm putting it in average. It's like everything except for this attack in the screenshot, the first thing they do is pretty easy. But this attack, it can sometimes meme you, especially if you're trying to sweep around a macro to the side and Mai happens to be there. You can sometimes shoot stars in your face, and the stars mixed with the waves can get quite annoying. But other than that, it's pretty much fine. And if you're quick with your killing of it, yeah, then that should only happen twice. The first one being pretty valuable, the second one, maybe depending on where they are, it would be a bit mean. Yeah. This is also probably average, but it's lower than opener. I cannot set up until this third attack of phase 2 to save my life. But it is pretty easy. You just bait Mai's laser to be high, and then you can dodge Yuki's attacks by themselves. It's like, the only thing is I find sometimes setting up into this third one where Yuki's shooting out these rings, depending on their location, it can get a bit annoying. But there's probably ways to get it consistently. Other than that, this is pretty easy. Phase 3 is tricky to rank. If we're talking dodging on its own, it's the hardest one they have. But the issue is, if you play your hand right, you can just not have to dodge this whatsoever, and then it's free. I'm gonna put it here just for the dodging by itself. The first one this does, which is the one you're going to see the most, where Yuki's shooting aimed and Mai shooting little waves. I do think release 3 is actually harder than all 3 of these. 1, 3, 2, I know that's fair. That can maybe sometimes trip you, but I find it easiest to do to stream towards Mai than streaming away from Mai to do that, so you can dodge through Mai's waves. Then Cheetos are fine. The third one, maybe it can screw you up if Yuki shoots a wave like to where the bullets are mixed in with Mai's lanes. Maybe that can screw you up, but it should, if you've played the fight right, it should be way dead before that can happen. And then the fourth one is kind of tricky, I guess. But again, it should be long dead before that happens. Actually, yeah, I think I'm going to put this down here. Let's say 1, 3, 2. This is free. Like, there's so much space to dodge between these waves. And then the kunais are such an easy pattern. Like, this is harder. Sarah's is harder. My phase 2 is pretty fine. It's harder than all of these. I'd probably be more scared of the Wii's 3 than I would be of my 2. Especially, like, the second, when she does, okay, so the 1, 2, the fourth wave of attack she does of this can be scary if you're playing out of the bottom. But with what I do, I just go at the top during the third one, the X that shoot out, and then go above her, and then you safe spot that, and it's fine. And then the only thing that can kill you is the kunai waves, which can sometimes set you up into a laser, which is annoying, but... And sometimes they with her movement, it can come at you from strange angles. But other than that, it's like fine. Honestly, this is easier than this. It's like that. This is a safe spot. I'm gonna put it in easy. I'm not gonna put it in free. Mainly because of the wave, the non-icicle fall safe spot. The second thing she does, where she's shooting the lane, again, the same thing as what this is, except with different bullets. When you're shooting the eggs, the pellets can sometimes mix up into the lanes and it can kill you, maybe. It's probably above this. But that's the only difficulty that comes from this. I died to this in LMD. It's pretty easy. It's harder than this though. It's bottom of average. You do kind of have to read the kunais as they're coming and go into the safe spot, and then you don't shoot until the eggs are close to you, and then you shoot the eggs. Maybe reading at an angle can be difficult for you, and then this could be harder. I died to it in my LMB because I just kind of potatoed. It's easy actually, really. I kind of potato death to this in my LMB because I saw the kunais and I just didn't live. But yeah, it's pretty easy. You just read where the kunais are and where the safe spot's gonna be. I have no idea how the fuck to rank Yuki's attacks. How do you rank it? You don't fight Yuki. They're all run killers because if you fight Yuki, everyone's dead. But I guess I'll rank them. From the limited experience of what I've said, so maybe, yeah, it is a pretty unusual reading. Okay, I'll put it bottom of average. I have very limited experience with these next 4 attacks, so take this with a grain of salt. But if you do fight Yuki Open is probably a run killer. Because it's so dense and then she shoots the waves while you're dodging the dense stuff at the same time. It seems like that can just sometimes kill you. If you are fighting Yuki, for whatever godforsaken reason, maybe you can find a way around that. But yeah, she shoots like kind of waves, sideways waves, and she shoots really dense bullets. And then the waves can come out during with dense bullets, and sometimes it seems like there's just nothing you can do. I'm changing song. We can have... I really like this song, Magic Supper Raspberry. This seems like a run killer. This seems like sometimes there's nothing you can do, and it's also insanely dense. This is pretty fast. It is only pellets that are kind of scary from what I've seen. But it seems above everything in average. It is pretty fast. This is probably harder than Alice Opener. Because it's so fast and so random, and this seems pretty average. It seems static. It seems you can do this statically. It's harder than Mai's Final. It's probably harder than this. Probably harder than this. It should be about there, I would imagine. Take all the Yuki rankings with a grain of salt, because I don't usually fight her. But that's what I would imagine her patterns are like. If you actually do fight Yuki. But again, don't fight Yuki. They're all run killers, because if you fight Yuki, everyone's dead. This is probably the biggest run killer in the game, Yumeko Opener. Probably. I can think of another attack later on that I might put above it. But yeah, it's Slot Machine. She shoots insanely fast bullets that are insanely random, and they can sometimes be free, and you just don't even have to move. That happened in my Yumeko Max Rank LMM video. But most of the time, it's just going to be completely unreactable unless she's at the top of the screen, and it's just going to kill you. There's really nothing you can do about it. Yumeko Opener, yeah, Bam thinks Yumeko Opener is top 1. I can think of one attack that might go above it. But it's just... Thankfully, you can kind of speed kill it if you're good with shotgunning, and you only have to dodge one of these red waves, which are the scary parts. But still, you have you have to get through one red wave, which is already an ask. I think Yumeko Phase 2 is harder than Yumeko Phase 1. And I think it's a run killer. It's probably above this. It's probably above Alice Opener. It's way more I mean, I'm going to be comparing this to Yumeko Phase 4, which I'm going to put at the top of the top. Yumeko Phase 2 is way more random with the swords. And it's going to give you really bad RNG and really bad waves to dodge fairly often. Whereas Phase 4, it's a lot more timing based than it is RNG based. If you time your macros up to the side, then you can give yourself quite a bit of room to dodge. And while bad RNG on this can pretty much just kill screen you, and there's nothing you can do, you get a bad RNG a lot more often on this than you do on this. The bad RNG doesn't feel that common. Like, kill screen bad RNG doesn't feel that common in this. Whereas this feels like it just throws disgusting stuff at you so often. My Yuki 3 is probably still harder, I would imagine, because this is kind of learnable. But still, it can give you pretty, like, really bad RNG pretty often. The swords can get really dense while you're trying to go from the side down to the middle. The only really real kill points in both of these attacks is when you go up at the to get back down at the middle. I turned my mic off for a second right there. When you're going up to the side, once you're up at the side and you're going back down to the middle, those are the real kill points of these attacks. Everything else you shouldn't die to at any other point. But yeah, I think this can give you really bad attacks. Yeah, your word. If you're playing a slower shot, then this is probably harder than Phase 2. But I do think there's a tier gap between Phase 2 and Phase 4, and I do think Phase 2 is harder than Phase 4. You don't have a lot of tough. This is easy unless you're crazy. And you try to dodge it really weirdly. That's a double meaning, if you know, you know. But you can just kind of memorize spots in this that are gaps. You can memorize gaps in this and then green lasers at aim. It's fine. Yeah, for like slow shots, these are like our hardest shots in the game, but I play Nina. And for Nina, it's kind of, I feel like it's like this. This should be easy, but I have a tendency to die to it in runs. I'm gonna put it top of easy, I guess. There's a couple of ways you can do it. I know a lot of people like to stay close to her and then do a quick dash around and stay relatively in the middle. Fan likes to hug the wall, and because the swords don't have hitboxes when they're spinning, you can hug the wall and you won't have to dodge one side of swords. Like, you can dodge the in patterns by going up and down the wall. I, for whatever reason, cannot get that consistently. So what I do is I stay at the bottom of the screen and read one side of the screen, one side of the swords, to see what the gaps and where the swords are. And to tell which side you'll have to move to, then I move to the side, up, and then back to the middle. And then repeat, and then it dies. Sometimes my reaction is bad, and sometimes doing that it can give you a formation where the swords just into you. And you can't really go to the side, in which case you have to go up and the side. And Things 5 is free, so maybe if you can do the wall hook strat better than me, it can go down with these. But with what I do, it seems easy. This is free because it dies before I can do it. But it does do something. Well, that something it does is really easy. It's a bit more random than Adam. I guess it's technically more dense than this. Especially it goes here. It's like it's so easy to read. There's so big gaps. The gaps are so big and it dies so quickly. You should really never die to this. It is technically harder than these four, I guess. I have died to this more than I've had to this though. Okay, time for Shinki to fill up the top of the list a bit. Tough. This is tough. It could maybe even be like bottom of Run Killer. If you get really bad energy and she glues herself to the very bottom of her movement range. I am honestly more scared of this than I am of Facebook. The big issue with this attack is that she can move extremely low on the screen. Like, I feel it's like at the 50% mark of the screen, or maybe even a little bit lower that she can move to. And when she does that, these orbs, like these bullets that you can see in this screenshot, they become, at least to me, nigh unreactable. And dodging it on the side doesn't really help because they come at you from weird angles, and I'm not used to weird angles. And even when she's on the screen, the kind of whips that forward outwards, the gaps between those get really awkward, so you have to go to the side. If you have to go to the side, and you have to dodge, you have to go upwards with a dodge, that can also be weird. If you go to the side when she's low and she gives you a sideways dodge, if you played the game, you might know what I mean. Then it's fine. But this can just, yeah, Shinky movement can make this really insane. Shinky movement can also make this really insane. But I'm more scared of phase 4 than this. She can, like, this is just complete anarchy, pretty much. The cannon is aimed at you, so you just move around the cannon. But this can just sometimes give you some disgustingly dense waves to dodge. And it can get worse as she moves lower on the screen too. That's about all I can say. When she's at the top of the screen, if she stays at the top of the screen for both of these attacks, it's like Yuki Mai tier, kind of like around here for both of them. But just because of the fact that she can move to like the middle of the screen pretty much, they have to go pretty soft. I'm more scared of this than I am of Yumeko Phase 4. Yeah, one absolutely despises her, and she never goes to the top of the screen in any one of me. Song change time. I like this song a lot. Phase 3 of Shinky is the attack that I was alluding to earlier that I might put above Yumeko, but I'm not entirely sure. Either way, these are the top 2 attacks in the game, in terms of difficulty. The more I play Phase 3, the more I do feel like it's like this. There's so much to keep track of in this, and sometimes you have to keep on moving because of the aim bullets. And then the orbs can sometimes come at you in nigh unreactable speeds from really low on the screen. And then sometimes the orbs can come at you really dense patterns, which forces you to macro dodge, which means you have to be at least somewhat aware of where all the little bullets to the side are, not just the bullets that are aimed at you, the bullets in the way that are off to the side. You have to, it's a skill grind, sure, and you can get better at this attack, but there's so much that can happen, and it can sometimes just get so insane. And the other thing, the big reason I think this is above Yumeko Opener, is that Yumeko Opener you only have to dodge once, maybe twice. Well, twice, maybe once. This lasts, I think for me, I think it lasts 18 seconds. Which is, maybe if you play Windows, maybe not a hugely long amount of time, but for PC98 attacks and Mystic Square attacks, it's pretty fast. It's pretty long. These, like the Yumeko attacks, last pretty long too. But this can, for what it is, and for PC98, this does last a long time, even with Yuma. So there's a lot of chances for it to get really scary and really spooky. Whereas this, you only have to dodge twice, possibly once if you get the speed kill. This is a safe spot. You go above her after Phase 3 ends. So yeah, I do think this is harder than Yumeko Opener. If you have to dodge more than 2 ways of Yumeko Opener, Yumeko Opener is probably more of a killer. But this just lasts so long, and there's so much random stuff it can do. Like it can give you the, like I said, the unreactable orbs, the comfortables, forcing you to macro, into possibly dangerous territory where you don't know what the little bullets are like, etc, etc. You can get better at this. It is a skill grind attack, but it's definitely the hardest attack in the game. This is all aimed and static, so it should be pretty easy, but if you get hit on a run, you could be pretty nervous, and nerves can kill you on this. So I'm gonna put it top of easy because of nerves. But you can just memorize your preferred gaps in the arrowhead waves and dodge around while dodging the aimed orbs. The arrowhead waves are static, the orbs are aimed at you. So this is entirely aimed and static, so this can be done completely consistently. DR is a run killer. It's harder than these two. It's harder. No, it's here. I used to think this was like up here-ish. I'm dropping it down to here because I find quite a lot of success during the rage portion of this, just bottom hugging the screen and dashing through the orbs. And even with that, you only see 2 or 3 dashes, I think. But what I used to do, the shot I used to do, made this like really hard. Just bottom hugging it, dashing through the orbit made it easier, but it's still definitely a run killer. Especially again, considering you can get here on nerfs, and it's so tight. Like, it's insanely tight. On average, it's way tighter than Byakuran's version, for example. But you don't get much space on the screen to dodge whatsoever. So it's very easy to just overshoot your dodge. No, I do think this is a run killer. It can definitely fuck you over, and the orb spawn locations are random in their aim. And that can lead to them being this should be above this probably. And Shinki Final is tough. I'm more scared of it than Spirals. I don't fight Yuki, so I don't know. I'm more scared of it than this. It goes here. Shinki Final is not technically a hard attack, I don't think, but again, you have to consider I think it's very important when ranking attacks to consider run situations. And in a run situation, you're going to be very nervous and very scared when you get to this. It can maybe get a bit scary with her random movement. I find the scariest movement is when she goes to the left or down left and then goes right afterwards as her second movement. I find that the scariest movement because the orbs block off the lane. Other than that, if she goes upwards, it's just like free. But it is scary, and in a run situation, you can be pretty nervous. I don't think, technically speaking, it's that hard, but for what it is, and for what you're going to be like when you get here, I think it's like a 4th hardest attack. Actually, nerfs can make any pattern hard, but like, are you going to argue nerves are making, I don't know, my 2 harder? No, because you're not nervous now. And this is going to be the height of your nerves. DR and this are going to be the height of your nerves. I actually think phase 2 is harder. But yeah, in a run situation, this is going to be really scary. But yeah, that's my Mystic Square Patterns difficulty run tier list. Again, you can, like, in terms of what you actually do in a run, just to make it clear, you, like, it's more like this, just for the visualization of what you would actually preferably be doing. So there's like 5 run killers, 5 attacks that are pretty tough, 6 that are average, 7 that are easy, 10 that should be completely free for you. And then if you include Yuki, it's what it was before. It was like 7 in here, 6 in here, 8 in here. No, 7 in here, sorry. Yeah, kind of bottom weighted, but it is fairly somewhat averaged out. Yeah, thanks for watching if you're watching this on YouTube. Join the stream. Fuck you guys, and bye.